When I first started my podcast, I didn't even think about using email marketing. Now it's the main way I sell my offers. This week, I'm sharing a conversation I had with Kylee Chandler. She has this idea for curated episode lists that I have never heard before. Hey, I'm Andy Smiley, and I'm obsessed with helping you grow your podcast without letting it rule your life. I share strategies that actually work, the stuff I wish someone would have told me sooner, and conversations with the smartest podcasters I know. And today's guest is absolutely brilliant. Kylee Chandler has this idea for getting people onto your email list that's been on my to-do list for way too long. Kylee, thank you so much for being on the Friendly Podcast Guide today. You are an absolute delight, and I got to be on your show, so I'm so excited that I get to return the favor and have you on mine.
Oh, well, I think we have plenty to talk about, so I'm very excited to be here with you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I feel like we could probably do a whole series just like with different interviews. That'd be so fun. But today is not that day. Maybe a future time. So earlier this year, I talked to an email marketing expert, but I've had a lot of people talk to me about, okay, so I know that I need to be doing email, but how do I actually get people on my email list? And Kylee, you have so many insights on this. Could you explain a little bit about like what a lead magnet is, like what that means, as well as like basics, how to make that happen?
Yeah, oh, for sure. A lead magnet essentially is going to be anything that you create that's going to be based on a pain point, a need, a desire, a curiosity point for your audience. And we need to be a little bit smarter about our lead magnets now. And so the reason I love the way I teach lead magnets to podcasters is because we create podcast first lead magnets, right? And so let's get their podcast, let's give them podcasts that are curated to them through these lead magnets, right? Because I think about these people who have 200 podcast episodes, 300, 600, even 50. When somebody lands on your podcast and they're scrolling through, it's like, okay, which one do I want to listen to? Which one would serve me best? And then what if they land on one that maybe isn't the best for them, or
maybe it wasn't a good starting point.
It was like episode 2 and you sound like you're underwater. It's like, let's curate it for them where it's so great, where they're like, okay, I'm a super fan. I want to binge them all. So a couple ways that I like to do this. One, I love to create like a curated podcast bundle. And so I think about either the pain points or the aspirations of my audience, right? And so for, one of my clients that I'm specifically working with, we laid out a few of the pain points or the desires. And one is, building a full-time business on part-time hours. And one pain point is having all these offers without consistent revenue. And she's got 600 podcast episodes. So we distilled them down into these bundles that we can now promote. And it's like our listeners are listening and they think, this is what I need. I want to build my business on part-time hours I didn't leave my job to become like a full-time employee for myself, or overtime. So when we create these podcast first bundles, essentially, it's a really juicy and sexy lead magnet that's a little bit different than a checklist. That's basically what you already shared with them, so it's like that curated experience. And I know we're going to get into quizzes as well, which is like one of my favorite lead magnets because people love to learn about themselves.
Yes, totally.
And they love to take the quiz. I mean, think about when we were kids, Andy, and it was like, you got your teen bop, magazine. And it's like, who would be your, boy band's like boyfriend or something. And then you like throw them out and it's, oh my gosh, Justin from NSYNC or whatever. It's so exciting.
Yes.
Nothing has changed. People want to learn about themselves through quizzes. And so we're going to get into what that looks like, I think, a little bit later. But that's a really, really great way to get people interested in giving you their email address, right? And it's not the checklist. It's not these kind of things that they can capture on AI so quickly. Another thing I'll say, though, that's really important is then we have to keep them engaged on your email list. And that's where I think some people maybe go wrong. They don't connect with their email list, or they randomly do, or they send an email that's like, hey, I dropped this podcast today, and it's just not very interesting. And so I think it's really not only getting people onto your email list, but then it's nurturing them, because you can have an email list of 2,000 people and have like a 10% open rate. That's terrible. And nobody's
Yeah.
engaged. And then if you go to sell or, share a podcast episode with them, they're absolutely not responding. But when we curate that newsletter to them and we like my favorite, what's working really well actually in the marketing world for podcasters as well is creating these lifestyle type newsletters, which I do. And I'll lead with a story. Last week's newsletter started with my mom went camping and this is what it taught me about podcasting. And I like went into a story about how my mom flew in to stay in our camper and they stayed at a campground and she went and she spoke with a bunch of people and was talking about what I did and everybody had a favorite podcast and how 5 years ago that wouldn't have been the case. People would have been like, wait, remind me, what is a podcast or give me an example, and then I go into like industry updates in the podcasting industry and maybe events that might be happening or sometimes I'll teach something within that, like, hey, I tried this hack and it worked great. Here it is. And then I go into, oh, and by the way, on the podcast this week, this is what I'm talking about. And I get responses all the time that are like, I love your newsletter. It's so refreshing. It's so great. And my open rate is like 60%, which is mind-blowing.
Awesome. Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of the trick. I think it's like the balance of it both.
Totally. Yes. You have to have something that they're interested in to get their email, but you also have to keep them interested. Like you said, you can't just get their email and then have it sit and they don't actually like get to know you better via email afterwards.
100%.
Yeah. Which I think truly one of my really good friends, her name is Whitney. She is the host of The Family Lab. She is honestly one of the most interesting people to talk to. She is just like full of so many creative ideas. And that's why she's so good at her podcast is like, she always has a new idea for how you can like help your kid get potty trained or help your kid stop whining. Like she is the best. I adore her, but she is so nervous to start emailing her people. I'm like, no, you have so many great stories. Like you need to start talking to your people because they want to hear from you.
I do.
So yes, this episode is partially for her to help her remember that email is a good thing and it doesn't have to be scary. So,
and if I could add something kind of interesting to that, I have people all the time like, well, I don't really have something to offer them. So what am I going to talk to them about? And like a paid product, right? So if we're talking about like monetizing your business. And here's what I'll say is get them on the email list and just nurture the heck out of them. Because all of a sudden when you go to sell, literally you could nurture for 6 months, 9 months. When you go to sell to them, you'll make a decent chunk of money if you decide you want to offer something. So that's what I'll say to that is just start the email list with 20 people on it, email them. With 200 people on it, email them. With 2,000 people, continue to email them.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Even if you're not selling something, you're still wanting people to listen to your show, right? Like, I feel like, no, you're not selling your podcast because well, I guess some people have it behind a paywall, but like most of us have a free podcast. Like you can just listen to it. So you're kind of selling your podcast episodes of being like, hey, go listen to this episode. Take your time and listen to this episode. So no, you might not be selling something, but you're still asking them to take time out of their day to listen to a show that you created.
100%.
Okay, now I want to dive into quizzes. So why are quizzes such a powerful tool for growing your email list and truly like growing your podcast?
Yeah. Well, the way that I do them specifically is essentially doing like a podcast centric quiz. And so, like I said earlier, people love to learn about themselves. So we know this. We know this about, demographics. We know this about psychology. And so when we bring people into our world and we say, not only can you take this quiz, but on the other side of the quiz, I'm going to give you a personalized playlist based on where you are, personalized podcast playlist that you can work through. And then on top of that, I'm going to give you XYZ. So it can be a bunch of things. So like when I created Kathy Heller's quiz, it was like what's your morning personality or something. And we gave them like a morning affirmation and a meditation and their curated podcast playlist. And then we gave them like an angel card or something like that. So you can use that quiz to go above and beyond to really deliver value. And now they're on your email list and you can move them through a nurture sequence. Whether you sell to them in that nurture sequence or not, you can continue to provide them with extra resources to just continue to serve. Oh, and more podcast episodes. And then that's how they become super fan, is they're just like, they're in it. You provided so much value. And I think this is where a lot of people go wrong with quizzes, is they're just using AI to bust out a quiz that's just like gives the person results they already knew about themselves. And they're like, well, why did I take that quiz? But when you can go the extra step to not only like lay it all out, maybe give them a roadmap and give them the curated podcast playlist and give them like extra things that make it really juicy, make their results juicy and stand out. That is when your quiz can really turn somebody who came into your world, took the quiz, listened to your podcast into super fans that will continue to binge your show. They work so well. And here's the other thing I'm seeing with clients is it does take a lot to put together a quiz, but here's the thing, you can literally use that quiz for years. Like Amy Porterfield still has the quiz up that we created from like 5 years ago.
That's
a lot
amazing.
of my clients let it run for a couple years. You can go in, you can modify it with new podcast episodes, or maybe you have a new offer you want to plug into your nurture sequence. And really what we're also seeing is, you've been hearing people talk about trust recession and things like that. We're in a trust recession. My clients who put together a quiz and let it run for, I know we talked about Pinterest and how it's a long game.
Yes.
Podcasting is a long game. Quiz, like my clients who will put the quiz together, do like a promo week to promote it and get it, excitement around it and get that initial boost. And then let it run. Maybe they run like low cost ads to it or something over the course of 6 months. One of my clients, I work with female entrepreneurs who have a podcast. So when I say offer, that a lot of my clients have an offer they're eventually going to share with their audience.
Sure. Yeah.
But she had her biggest launch after we put the quiz together. About 6 months after her quiz, 5 or 6 months, she went into her launch. She had a 77% revenue increase with 67% of those people who signed up coming from her quiz nurture sequence.
That's amazing. I love that so much.
I know. And this is what I'm seeing across the board. The other thing I really want to dive into that I am obsessed with when it comes to quizzes is the data that it gives us. It gives us so much data about who is in our audience.
Sure.
One of my clients she does fictional writing. She's a fictional writing coach. And cool. So she's like, they all want to write a book. They all, like, everybody in my audience wants to write a book. They want to get it published, whether it's self or not. Mm-hmm. And she's like, but there's small nuances, right? Because one person is just starting out. The next person maybe wrote their book, but they don't know what to do next. The next person might be interested in, they want to know how to publish. So the quiz can go, you're here, you're in this bucket, you're in this bucket, or you're in this bucket. And so now we can have the quiz out into the world. We can go and say, oh, interesting. I really only have people in my audience in bucket 1 and 2. I should probably not do too many podcast episodes for bucket 3.
Totally. Or like, no, I shouldn't have offers about that too.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a cool thing too with the nurture sequences. If you do have offers, you can curate not only the playlist to those people.
Oh, but the offers too.
Offer too. So it's just amazing.
That is amazing. Okay. So I have this question, so I'm assuming my listeners do too. Where do you create the quiz? Is there like a quizbuilder.com or something? Mm-hmm. Or like, how does that work? So,
essentially the platform that I like to have my quiz hosted on is Interact Quiz. And it was built as a quiz platform. Some people use Typeform or go high level or things, which are fine. And I have clients who use them, but I do know, like, I'm friends with the Interact Quiz owner, and he's like, we built this as a quiz platform. So it's really nice, the integrations and stuff like that. But there really is so much that goes into it beyond that. Like, you want a landing page and your results pages and your email nurture sequence. So the actual hosting platform of the quiz is just like an itty bitty part, but I do like Interact Quiz, and it's not super expensive. I think it's like $29 a month or something to host there.
Okay, cool. I love the idea of a quiz for podcasters because so many of us have podcasts that just lend themselves to quizzes, right? Like
Yeah.
it just makes sense. Do you have like an example like that you could walk us through of a high converting quiz funnel that has worked well? You already gave us some examples, but do you have another one?
Oh yeah. Well, I guess I have a few. So we can go back to Savannah. So she has the fictional writing one. So her quiz specifically is called "This 30-second quiz reveals your author success blueprint." So you go through the quiz, then you get onto your specific results pages.
Sure.
That's where you do the high delivery. That's where you're giving them a personalized playlist. You're giving them all the extra little juicy bonuses that made it worth taking your quiz, made it worth giving you your email address. From there, they move into a nurture sequence through their email, and then they move to that. So oh gosh, I think she's had over 4,000 people take that quiz.
That's amazing.
With Amy Porterfield. So that was the first time I ever tested this out. I want to say like last fall, I touched base with her director of marketing. And I was like, how many people have gone through that quiz? Over 15,000 people. Now, granted, that's in probably 4 years or something. But she's not promoting it all the time, and people are finding it. Let's see, another one of my clients, Kathy Heller, we had like over 2,000 people take her quiz within like a week and a half.
Dang, that's amazing.
So not only are we getting people to take the quiz, we're getting their email addresses, we get the opportunity to nurture them, sell to them, all the things.
That's amazing. Like you said, like there's a lot that goes into doing a quiz. So I feel like sometimes you have to know what the results could be so that it feels like reasonable to like put in the effort to make it happen, right?
100%.
Oh, I love that. Okay. Well, truly, one of these days that's like on my list of like when I have a couple of hours to just at least map it out and then chunk it from there.
Here's what I'll say is I'm actually working on, because usually I only do it with my one-on-one clients, which is pretty high ticket. But I have women in my mastermind who are wanting it. And so I think in the spring, I'm going to be offering I want to do like a little bit of like a speed, like a week and 2 weeks or something, where we just like head down, we create our quizzes. And I'm finding that Claude AI is like changing the game for making quizzes. I mean, so I have some tips and tricks where it's like we can take the templates that I've perfected over the years with Claude. And so I'm like, so you'll have to come in there. And
I mean, seriously, that sounds really nice.
I'm like, let's just do it. Like head down, get it done. And I think that's what people need, because otherwise you can draw it out for so long and just want to think about it and never do it. And it's like, no, let's get together. Let's make it happen. And then you have it. And that's it.
And then it's done. And you can just let it do its thing in the background.
Yes. 100%.
Oh, I love that so much. Okay.
And Pinterest, are you kidding me?
I mean, I think
Pinterest,
you could do a pin a week about the quiz.
You could
just like get people. Yeah. Pinterest is really good for freebies too.
I love that.
Okay. This has been so delightful. You have so many good insights, and I am so excited for my listeners to be getting more emails on their email list, because and quizzes are kind of the way to go. Okay. And I will put all of the links that you talked about in the show notes, but where can people find you?
Yeah, so I have a podcast called Podcast Growth Tools, which Andy came on, which I'm so excited. It was a great episode.
Thank you.
And then you can also go to my website, or if you want to get on my newsletter and see what I'm talking about in terms of like these more lifestyle ones, go to podcastmarketinghub.com/subscribe. I'm also on Instagram, Kylee J. Chandler, and
Perfect. Oh, I'm so excited. And I'm definitely going to join your email list, if nothing else, just to see how you do it. Because I feel like sometimes it's like, yes, I like to email my list. I like to connect, but also sometimes it feels overwhelming. So it's nice to have other examples. Be like, oh, okay, I like the way she did that, or whatever. So yes, thank you.
Oh, God, I hope it serves you well. But thank you for having me, Andy.
Yes, thank you so much. Kylie's take on quizzes as a freebie is brilliant. She is such a smart podcast strategist and a lovely human. You should definitely hop on her email list and listen to her podcast. I have the links to all of those things in the show notes. Do you have a podcasting friend who hasn't had any new additions to her email list in a little while? Kylie's email list growth ideas are sure to inspire her. Email this episode to your friend, and she'll be forever grateful. In next week's episode, I'll be giving my younger self podcast marketing advice. There are some really great tidbits that I wish someone would have told me sooner. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next week.